This is WLKY Morning News.
Right now at 5, the attempted assassination of Donald Trump shocks the nation. The former president shot in the ear. We're taking a look at the horrific moments during his campaign rally in Pennsylvania.
And in the wake of that shooting, national, state, and local leaders are speaking out. We have more on their responses.
Good morning to you. I'm Madeline Carter.
And I'm Shaquille. Lord Norman has the morning off.
Yeah, many of us are waking up still trying to process what happened last night. The FBI says they don't have a motive yet after shots were fired at a rally for former President Donald Trump in western Pennsylvania while he was speaking on stage. Now, Trump was quickly rushed away, bleeding from his ear.
And overnight, the agency identified the alleged gunman as 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks of Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. The suspect and a man attending the event were both killed. 2 others were critically injured.
Now, I know many of us have already seen the footage by now on social media, but we do want to warn you, you may find it disturbing. Lauren Linder is in Butler County, Pennsylvania with the latest.
And as you just heard from Lauren, the president addressed the nation shortly after the shooting.
President Biden also posted on social media saying he's grateful to hear Trump is safe and doing well and is sending prayers to those affected by this incident. The president's statement reads in part, "Jill and I are grateful to the Secret Service for getting him to safety. There's no place for this kind of violence in America. We must unite as one nation to condemn it." Nancy Pelosi extended her prayers to those who attended the rally. You may remember her husband was attacked in 2022. The former House Speaker referenced that attack, saying, "As one whose family has been the victim of political violence, I know firsthand that political violence of any kind has no place in our society. I thank God that former President Trump is safe." And current House Speaker Mike Johnson shared his gratitude as well for law enforcement at the scene, while also praying for Trump and everyone who attended the rally. Johnson's statement said, quote, "This horrific act of political violence at a peaceful campaign rally has no place in this country and should be unanimously and forcefully condemned." Politicians from both sides of the aisle are also speaking out across Kentucky. Now, Shaq has a look at what they're saying this morning. Shaq?
Yeah, Matt.
Thanks, Shaq. As this investigation continues, new information is shining a light on how this shooting unfolded. Law enforcement sources tell the Associated Press an AR-style rifle was recovered at that scene in Pennsylvania. After the first 2 shots were heard, Trump can be seen grabbing the right side of his head, and he got down as Secret Service jumped in to protect him. According to the Secret Service, there was one shooter who fired multiple times toward the stage, aiming at Donald Trump from an elevated position outside of the rally venue. He was identified as 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks of Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. This entire incident unfolded in less than a minute before he was killed by the Secret Service. And all of this is coming just ahead of the Republican National Convention, which is set to kick off tomorrow in Milwaukee. This attack was the most serious attempt to assassinate a president or presidential candidate in more than 4 decades. The most recent was in 1981 against former President Ronald Reagan. He was shot in the chest by John Hinckley Jr. while walking to his limo after addressing a labor convention in Washington, D.C. After that shooting, Reagan was quickly shoved inside the limo and rushed to George Washington University Hospital. He was treated and returned to the White House 12 days later. Hinckley was indicted on federal charges, but was found not guilty by reason of insanity in 1982. He was given an indefinite term in a mental institution.
All right, back here closer to home, we need to talk about this weather now because Saturday proved to be a hot and humid one.
Yeah, we're going to check in with meteorologist Suzanne Horgan to find out if us in Louisville, if we're going to see any sort of relief today, because yesterday, Suzanne, it was a scorcher out there.
And turning now to some news happening in our area, the city of Louisville is nearing 100 homicides so far this year. In
response, community and religious leaders united in prayer this weekend in hopes of ending the violence. Now, a prayer and peace vigil was held last night in the Shawnee neighborhood at 34th and Broadway. Leaders of different faiths and people from across Louisville united for one cause. That cause is peace. Organizers say this is just the first step in trying to make a difference across the city. It is 5:35 this morning. A man is in critical condition after he was hit by a vehicle in downtown Louisville. It happened around 10:30 Friday night, and that's when officers responded to First and Broadway. Police say the man was in the road wearing dark clothing and not obeying traffic laws. That vehicle was going west on Broadway when it hit the man. The driver stayed on the scene and called for help. At last check, that man is at the hospital with life-threatening injuries. They went back to the Wild Wild West to make this happen. You know, I like that we're calling this an unusual police chase because it seems like more and more often we're hearing about these instances where officers are stumbling upon these runaway animals. Like we've had horses, cows here in Louisville. It's everything nowadays.
I think it probably was happening before, but now with the advent, of course, of cell phones, we now have video of everything now, right?
Truly got to be able to do a lot of things as an officer.